Hey, welcome back to part 2. Today we'll be working on the forms and starting the epoxy pour for this coffee table and media cabinet. The first step here is building the 3 forms for the pours. I'm using 3/4 inch white melamine for the base and sides. Normally you can build your forms based off of the design and size of the panels you need, but in this case I already have pre-cut pieces, which meant I needed to be extra precise during the assembly. Once the pieces were ready, I covered every surface that would touch the epoxy with tuck tape. This is such an important step, not to seal the form, but to make sure the epoxy releases easily once it's cured. Next came assembling the forms. I used pothole screws to attach the sides, a method that I've used in the past and found to work the best for me. To seal the edges, I applied a liberal bead of all-purpose caulk. These pothole clamps made the job much easier, holding everything securely while I drove in the screws. If you're interested in trying these clamps, drop a comment and I'll share the link to these exact ones for you. With the forms assembled and sealed up, it was time to set up the pour area. Winter temperatures meant I had to move everything into the basement where I could control the environment just a little bit better. One extra step I took was applying a demolding spray to the forms. This isn't strictly necessary if you've taped everything properly, but I like having that extra layer of protection to ensure a clean release. I'll be honest, this step took an entire day. Between leveling, organizing tools, and walking myself through the process, I probably spent more time preparing than actually pouring. But if you're intimidated by epoxy work, this is the key. Take your time, have a plan, and double check everything before you start mixing. For this project, I'm using Craft Resin's Deep Pour Epoxy, and I'm really excited to see how it performs. Our goal was to pour about an inch of epoxy per layer, with the final layer being a flood coat to reach the final thickness of about 2 inches. You probably noticed that we are American and completely underestimated how many liters of epoxy a 5-gallon bucket could hold, but I found a 17-gallon storage tub and we kept going. For the color, I went with Eye Candy Pigments black paste to achieve a deep, opaque black. This isn't just for aesthetics, it also hides any imperfections like bug holes or cracks in the slabs. The first pour went really well, and after about 72 hours, I scuffed up the surface with a Scotch-Brite pad to ensure the second layer would bond properly. After scuffing, I cleaned up all the dust and repeated the process for the second pour, bringing the epoxy just shy of the slab surface. Craft resin impressed me throughout this process. The lower viscosity made it easy to work with, and the 48-hour cure time gave me plenty of room to adjust and plan each step. For the price, it stands up to the big name brands, and I'd highly recommend it for projects like this. If you're interested, I've tagged them below. They have kits for any size project, and their instructions are super beginner friendly. That's it for part 2 of this build. The epoxy is poured and the project is really starting to come together. If you've enjoyed this series, make sure to stick around for part 3, where we'll be pulling up the slabs from the form